It's 3 p.m. and the thought arrives out of nowhere, something sweet. Or it's after dinner, you're full, you don't even need it, and yet there's a pull toward the cupboard you can't quite argue with. And here's what gets people. This craving wasn't running your life in your 20s. It showed up later, it got louder, and now it feels like it has a will of its own. So let me say the thing you probably need to hear. This is not a lack of willpower. You didn't get weak, and you didn't develop a sweet tooth. After 40, two of your body's core systems quietly rewired themselves, and now they're asking for sugar louder than they ever did before. Once you see what changed, the craving stops feeling like a character flaw and starts looking like exactly what it is, a signal. Quick thing before we get into it. Comment the one sweet thing you genuinely cannot say no to. Just the food. I see the same handful of culprits show up again and again in these comments, and I don't think that's random. I think it's the pattern. And if you'd rather understand your body than keep fighting it, subscribe. That's the whole channel. Okay, here's what's actually happening. Start with the story everyone tells themselves. I have no willpower. I'm basically addicted to sugar. I'm weak. That story is everywhere, and it's the reason so many people quietly hate themselves a little every afternoon. And that self-blame is worse than useless because it points all your frustration at the one thing that was never the cause. You can white-knuckle it through an afternoon on pure willpower. Most people can for a while. But willpower is a muscle that runs out. And when it does, the craving is still sitting there waiting because the thing generating it never went anywhere. You didn't lose a battle of character. You were fighting the wrong opponent the entire time. Because willpower was never the system in charge here. Two other systems were, and both of them changed with age. The first is your reward system, and it runs on a chemical called dopamine. When you eat sugar, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, that little flicker of yes, more of that. It's the same system that makes anything feel rewarding. Here's the part almost nobody knows. As you age, your dopamine system gets less responsive. You gradually lose some of the receptors that catch that signal, and the reward you get from the same treat quietly shrinks. So the cookie that used to fully satisfy you at 25 now gives you a smaller hit at 50. And what does a brain do when the reward runs low? It doesn't stop chasing. It chases harder. It asks for more, or for something sweeter, trying to reach a feeling that keeps getting further away. Think of it like a favorite song played too many times. The first 100 plays light you up. Then slowly it takes more volume to feel the same thing, until you're cranking the dial just to get a fraction of the original rush. Your reward system does exactly that with sugar as you age. The same cookie, a quieter and quieter response, and it compensates the only way it knows how, by asking for more, or for something sweeter, or for it more often. This is part of why the treats quietly get bigger over the years. You're not greedy, you're running on a reward system that has slowly turned its own volume down, and you keep reaching to turn it back up. But dopamine is only half the story, and it doesn't explain why the craving hits at such specific times, like clockwork in the afternoon. For that, we have to look at the other system that changed, the one that manages your fuel. And that's where this gets really interesting.
Here's the fuel side. As you age, and especially as you lose muscle, which we've talked about before, your cells become less sensitive to insulin, the hormone that ushers sugar out of your blood and into your cells. Less sensitivity means your blood sugar swings harder. It spikes higher after you eat, then crashes lower afterward. And when your blood sugar crashes, your brain does not treat it as a minor dip. It reads it as a fuel emergency and fires off an urgent demand for the fastest fuel it knows, sugar. That craving that grabs you at 3 p.m., a lot of the time it's your brain trying to claw its way out of a blood sugar hole that your last meal dug. Now stack the two systems on top of each other. A reward system that gives you less satisfaction from the same sugar, and a fuel system throwing more frequent crashes that scream for it. Less reward, more demand at the same time. No wonder the pull feels stronger than it used to. It literally is. And here's the twist that ties it all together. When you finally give in and eat the sugar, you spike your blood sugar right back up, which sets off the very same insulin overshoot and crash an hour or two later, which triggers the next craving. The sugar doesn't end the cycle, it feeds it. You're not failing to resist a craving. You're stuck on a roller coaster that keeps building its own next climb. And there's one more quiet player. For many people, especially women, the estrogen drop through the 40s affects serotonin, the brain's calm and content chemical. Sugar and carbs give serotonin a temporary lift, so sometimes what feels like a sugar craving is really your brain reaching for comfort, trying to self-medicate a mood dip it can't name. And that's worth sitting with, because it means the usual advice to just have more willpower can quietly backfire. If part of the craving is your brain asking for a moment of relief, white-knuckling past it doesn't remove the need, it just leaves it unmet, and an unmet need tends to come back louder. And if your sleep has gotten worse, those 3 a.m. wake-ups, that alone raises your hunger hormones and your sugar cravings the very next day. It all connects. So here's the reframe, and it's the whole point. That craving you've been calling weakness is actually a signal from a body that changed underneath you. A reward system turned down, a fuel system swinging harder, a mood chemical dropping, and maybe a night of broken sleep all pushing in the same direction at once. That is not a character flaw. That is biology doing exactly what biology does. Understanding it won't magically delete the craving, and I'm not here to hand you a rigid plan or tell you sugar is evil, but it does something that matters just as much. It lets you stop white-knuckling your own afternoons and hating yourself for a pull you didn't design. One honest note, this is general education, not medical or nutrition advice, and intense or sudden changes in appetite and cravings can occasionally point to something worth checking, so if it's dramatic or new, talk to your doctor. But for the ordinary after-40 sweet tooth that seemed to come from nowhere, now you know who's really asking. So the next time 3 p.m. rolls around and the cupboard starts calling, you'll know it's not weakness talking. It's dopamine, blood sugar, and a tired brain all asking for the same quick fix. And if you'd rather understand your body than fight it, subscribe. Next time, why you feel so much more bloated after 40, even after a normal meal.